when you were working for Dominion?
Sure. My name is Melissa Carone. I was contracted to work for Dominion Voting Systems. I'm a freelance IT worker. I was contracted to work for Dominion to assist with IT during the election. I started work at 6 a.m. on November 3rd at the TCF Center. I got off work at 5 a.m. November 4th. Went home, went to bed, returned to work at 10 a.m. November 4th, stayed until approximately 2 p.m. November 4th. When I got off, I had a doctor's appointment. I was supposed to come back to work. One of the Dominion employees, he's in my affidavit, his name is Samuel, texted me and said, "We're almost done counting ballots. We don't need you to come back." It was getting a little rowdy when I left. I really didn't want to come back anyways. So that is why that I was contracted to work for Dominion, assisting with IT.
And when you were working there, what did you observe?
I observed numerous employees, city workers, running batches of ballots through the tabulators countless times without discarding them first. The tabulating machines would jam 2 to 3 times an hour. When they would jam, the correct process would be to pull out the problem ballot that jammed. Say the problem ballot was number 24 out of 50. I wasn't allowed to touch any hardware at all. I would assist them, tell them to pull out this ballot, put the problem ballot on top. In Michigan, our ballots from the tabulators don't just drop into steel ballot boxes. They are now, as they got tabulated, they are now on top of the tabulating machine. Okay? So instead of them taking these, so say, let's keep it number 25 is the problem ballot, it got jammed. So the computer would throw an error. It would say ballot number 25, there's an error. I would say pull out ballot number 25, slowly pull it out, put it on top, take the ballots that had already been tabulated, which are on top of the tabulating machine now, put them all back in a stack, discard the entire batch, and re-scan it. Instead of discarding, they were just re-scanning, counting ballots 9 to 10 times, counting votes 9 to 10 times.
So they were counting the same ballot, the same vote, 9 or 10 times?
Yes, sir. They were counting them 9
How,
or 10
how many times did you observe that?
These machines would jam 2 to 3 times an hour. Each machine, there were approximately 22 to 24 tabulating machines in the TCF Center. I observed it thousands of times.
Thousands of times? And how many were there 20 machines, approximately?
Approximately between 22 to 24 machines.
And were there any Republicans who were observing, or just Democrats?
I saw very few Republicans, about 3
And
total.
how about those 20 machines? Did you see any of them observing those 20 machines where the ballot was being put in 10 or 20 times?
Big question. I got some of them questioning me. My manager had came up to me. I had called my manager over to a specific tabulating machine. I showed him a number on it, which was close to 500. It should never go over 50. Ballots come in batches of 50. I said, we have a severe problem here. Nick, autonomous, which is a part owner of Dominion. And he said, Melissa, I don't want to hear that we have a problem. He said, we are here to assist with IT. We are not here to run their election. That is exactly what he said to me. At that point, I was just really frustrated and upset. I could tell what was going on. I knew what was going on at that point.
What was going on?
He was in on it. He was in on it. They were all in on it.
In on what?
They were cheating. It was very, very apparent. It was apparent he knew. It was apparent that he was in on it. And when he caught on to me knowing that he was in on it, he just wanted nothing to do with me.
Now, did there come a time when 2 vans pulled up
Yes.
in the back
Yes, sir.
late at night?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Approximately 4 o'clock, the garage door of the TCF Center opened. The counting room in the TCF Center is in the basement. So when the garage door opened, a van pulled up, one on day shift, one on night shift. They were supposed to be for food because they were short on food for the workers. That's what they said over the microphone. That's what Daniel Baxter said. He said they had food for 1/3 of the workers, and that they would provide food and it would be there shortly. Well, food never came out of these vans.
Yes, what's your point of order, Representative?
We have these people coming in here testifying, making claims. They should be under, we should have them under, what do you call it?
Oath?
Under oath.
Representative, we don't
Under
do
oath
that.
here.
Representative,
Here's my affidavit.
we're not going to do
I'm
that.
under oath.
You're out of
I
order.
have an affidavit. I'm under
You're out of
oath.
order, Representative. We don't do that
Chairman,
here in
Mr.
Michigan.
Chairman, she
We've
has-
never done that.
I wrote an affidavit.
Mr. Chairman,
We're gonna move on.
she has an
And Biden
affidavit.
never has done.
She has an affidavit under oath.
And it should not be
Representative.
under oath.
Please continue, and if we could have fewer back and forth, and maybe you can tell your story. No, I'm talking with Mr. Giuliani. We really want to get through this,
I
and
know.
this is sort of a format that is a little unusual to our committee. So if it's possible to tell a little more of your story, and I understand you're trying to speed it up, but we want to make sure we get through everything today, Mr. Giuliani.
Where I was initially supposed to be working.
And read some from your affidavit. That's your affidavit
Sure.
under oath.
So I have 19 things in my affidavit. I was at the TCF Center for 27 hours. I'm a mother. I have 2 children and I have 2 degrees. I'm very, I would never, I don't know any woman in the world that would write an affidavit under oath just to write it. You know, you can go to prison for this. So anyways, I want to make this very clear. I was initially supposed to work at the Detroit Department of Elections building. That was an order by my manager, Nick Economagounis, part owner of Dominion. I have it all in emails. I was trained on the adjudication and tabulation process. So in the email, it says you are to park in a parking lot and get shuttled over to this, they referred to it as the Chicago warehouse. I know for a fact there was illegal activity going on there. People have pictures of people carrying ballots out of that place. There is pictures of vans full of ballots coming out of that place. If it wasn't for my mother, I would have went there. My mom told me no, 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 no way. You know, this sounds really, really weird. And I have 2 young children, as I stated, that I needed access to my vehicle in case something happened. I ended up telling them that, and they said, okay, we'll put you at the TCF Center. Well, Samuel, there was 5 employees, 3 permanent employees of Dominion, 2 contract employees, me, a contract employee, and there was a 90-year-old man. Last name Smiley. I have all of his paperwork. I have all their names, last names. 4 employees that were scheduled to work in the city of Detroit. that were not at the TCF Center were all at this Chicago warehouse, which was the city election department building. Anyways, so I also witnessed, there was a point in the night where Samuel and Nick said that there was a big data loss. They started freaking out, stepped off the stage, got on their phones. I asked them what was going on. They said it was taken care of. Nick sent Samuel over to this warehouse for about 3 hours. When he got back, I said, "Where were you? Where'd you go?" He said, "I was at the warehouse." And I said, "What were you doing there?" And he's like, "Nothing, they just needed my help." Well, I said, "Where is this warehouse?" And he said, because I wasn't putting two and two together yet that I, was initially supposed to work there, because I'd never even looked up the address. And what I believe is it wasn't a data loss. It was actually when they found out Trump was ahead 100,000 votes, and they sent Nick over there to assist with these ballots that came in these vans full of ballots that people can attest to, that they witnessed being carried out of these vans at the TCF Center. I didn't see any ballots being carried out of vans. I'm not going to lie. I didn't see anything being carried out of them, but I know people who have and that did see this occurring. But I also witnessed the adjudication process. Numerous adjudicators machines were, all the ballots were being judged by 2 Democrats. I heard them talking. One woman said to another woman, "Are you a Republican or are you a Democrat?" She said, "I'm a Democrat." And she said, "Well, so am I. Let's sit together." Sat together all night judging ballots. Thousands of ballots got judged all night by the reason the rule's there is so it can be a fair process. It wasn't a fair process. It wasn't a fair process at all. And the tabulating problem with them running numerous ballots through these tabulators and just continuing to do it. I had a friend that I knew for over 20 years, and he came up to me and said, he was working the night shift. He came up to me and said, "Melissa, we did not get any training at all. None." He goes, "I have no idea what I'm doing." He was with 3 other people. I said, I just told my manager that. I said, "I could tell you guys don't know what you're doing." And he said, "Nope, we were trained on the adjudication process, not the tabulation process." And I said, "So you don't know what you're doing?" And he said, "Nope." I said, "Great, that's just great." Because nobody was helping me. I was, running around assisting these people all night long. And it was all day and all night. It was crazy. And they were running these ballots through without discarding them countless times. There were so many ballots that ran through these tabulators numerous times. I mean, without any oversight at all. I mean, there's so much. This election, I will say, these Democrats took every avenue possible to commit fraud in this election, and what I saw on the 3rd and 4th was over 20 counts of fraud being taking place in front of my face, and this isn't counting the ballots that are found in rivers, the ballots found under rocks, the ballots, that ended up.
First of all,
Representative, please.
let me tell you why I'm
Representative,
asking you to hold it.
do you have a point of
I
order?
love how you can
What's
just
your
say
point of
whatever
order?
you want to say.
Do you have a point of order, Representative?
She's just.
Cynthia wants to defend the fraud.
This is funny.
All right. Ma'am, please continue.
Yeah, so,
And also, by the way, I mean, can you maybe speak to your experience? I know we've heard stories of ballots being thrown in rivers, but I want to make sure we're speaking to your experience because we have limited time and we got to
Absolutely.
get our questions in and the
Okay,
other
well-
witnesses. So is there more to your experience? And then,
well, okay, I called the FBI
okay.
on the 8th, November 8th. I talked to two separate women, over 40 minutes. The first one gave her all my information. The phone mysteriously cut out, and she never called me back. I was waiting for her to call me back. She never called me back. I had to call them back, and they never called me back. Never got a call back. Still haven't got a call back. And I had somebody else working on it that has a neighbor that's an old FBI agent, and still haven't heard back from that.
Can I ask you just one last question?
Sure, sure.
Melissa? So how many ballots would you estimate in front of you that you observed were counted multiple times in the machine? Can you put a number to it, an estimated number?
At
best
least
you can do.
30,000.
At least 30,000. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. And I guess I'll ask a question. I just want to understand. So what is your role with Dominion? Can you clarify that?
Hey, you're welcome. My role with Dominion was to assist with IT for the election.
So are you you're some kind of contract employee?
I was a contract employee, yes.
Okay, of what organization?
I'm sorry.
Who do,
specified.
so were you were like a contract employee of Dominion, or was there some?
So I have my
Contractor.
resume everywhere,
Yeah.
you know, and because I was laid off from Ford,
Mm-hmm.
so they just found my resume and called me and said, "Do you want to work the election, the 3rd and the
I
4th?"
see, but you were employed directly by Dominion.
Did Dominion pay me? No. PDS staffing paid me.
Okay.
Because they called me, but I was working for Dominion. Yes.
Okay.
Something very, very suspicious too, must I add, that we were not allowed to wear name tags at all. We were not allowed to talk about who we worked for. They were very secretive. They didn't want anybody knowing anything about them.
And so I just want to make sure I understand you correctly. So you said you're alleging that you heard or that you witnessed ballots being put in the machine, run through, counted, and then put through again? Is that what you're alleging?
Without discarding. That is what I am telling you to be a fact.
And how many times did you witness this happening?
I witnessed it in a 27-hour period, thousands and thousands of times.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I will note, Dominion won't come before this committee. I've asked them, and so far they've refused, and I do want them to come before this committee because we need answers from them about how their
They're
machines
missing.
work.
They're
So we're
missing.
going to continue to try to get them here, but with that, I'll go to Representative LaFave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I am not sure how I'm going to do this with one question, but I'm going to try my best anyway. So, with these tabulator machines, of which you estimate there are approximately 22 to 24, I guess I'm not understanding. So, you place batches of 50 on top of the machine.
No. Okay, so I'm gonna try to explain it to you as if it's a printer, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. So a printer, when the papers come out of the printer, that's where in these tabulators, that's where you would feed the 50 in, okay? Now, on top of the printer, right? So where the scanner would be, right? If it's like a 4-in-1, right? So that's where these ballots would come out after they had been tabulated, okay? So if one jammed, number 25 jammed, right? Then it would put up an error. Discard, rescan. ballot number 25 has an issue. So they would then take all the ballots that had been tabulated from the top, right, that are now on the top, the 24 that are on the top, the ones that are on the bottom that haven't been tabulated yet, okay? And number 25, the problem ballot, they would put number 25 on top, they would discard the entire batch, and then they would rescan it. Instead of discarding it, they would rescan them, counting those 24 again, okay? Now, let's say it was out of 50, number 48 that jammed. That's 47 being counted again. I'm just using you know what I'm saying? So, does that clarify that? Okay.
It does. And basically you put batches of 50 in until you're done with that precinct, right?
That's what they would do, yes. But a lot of these workers would, they would get a batch of 50 and then they wouldn't get another batch for like 10 minutes. So then the ballot box was behind them, the steel ballot box. So they would have this batch of 50 in front of them for 10 minutes with no oversight. So they would run them through again with no oversight. They just had no idea what was going on. And if they did know what was going on, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? So I'm saying they have no idea what's going on. Who knows? They did. You know, I have no idea.
That was
I know
helpful.
what my friend said.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative C.A. Johnson. You're on our list. Did you have a question? Okay. Representative Camilleri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your testimony. Going back to the ruling from Judge Kenny, Timothy Kenny, he writes that your description of the events at the TCF Center does not square with any other affidavits.
Yeah.
He says that there are,
my mistake.
excuse me, I'm speaking.
Please,
Thank you.
let's let the representative finish, and then you can answer.
He writes that there are no other reports of lost data or tabulating machines that jammed repeatedly every hour during the count. He also writes that neither Republican nor Democratic challengers nor city officials substantiate your version of these events. The allegations simply are not credible, is what Judge Kenny writes. So my question for you is, you're making claims here today that there's systematic fraud in what's going on in our elections. Are the courts also tied up in that fraud?
Let me tell you what I did by accident, okay? I gave Channel 7 an interview that they tied in to that and made me the witness that's uncredible. Guess what? There's going to be a couple behind me that are going to say the same thing I just said. And
The witness before you was also proven not credible as well by
oh
the
no,
same
she
judge.
wasn't, because
She was.
she wasn't even there.
Representative
The very
Camilleri,
first
let her
time
finish,
she has
please.
talked. The very
Ma'am.
first time.
So I just want to understand, I don't know what exactly all the things that are being talked about there are, but can you tell us what you said today is the truth? Is that correct?
Sir, I wrote a written affidavit. Yes, it is 100% true.
Okay. And did other people observe this?
Absolutely. And behind me, you're going to hear a couple.
Okay. And we'll hear
And
from them.
let me just
hopefully.
state this. I was an IT worker on the stage. I was working with Dominion. I had no poll workers were not allowed on the stage. The data loss, nobody would have heard about that besides me, Samuel, and Nick. Okay? Just like nobody knows that Samuel went to the Chicago warehouse besides me because I worked for Dominion. They didn't. They're not going to hear that part. You know what I mean? The poll workers are not going to know that Samuel, they're not even going to know who he is. They're not going to know that he went to the warehouse.
So can you, I think what Representative Camilleri is asking is perhaps why is it that more people, and I know we have a couple here today, but why is it that we're not having more people come forward? I mean, it seems like if there
I'll
was all
tell you
this
why.
widespread fraud that, we'd have dozens and dozens of people.
I'll tell you why. My life has been destroyed. My life has been completely destroyed because of this. I've lost family. I've lost friends. I've been threatened. My kids have been threatened. I've had to move. I've had to change my phone number. I've had to get rid of social media. Nobody wants to come forward. They're getting threatened. Their lives are getting ruined. I can't even get an actual job anymore. I can't. Because Democrats like to ruin your lives. That's why.
All right. Let's